in the moment want to get clarification, but just know that we will give preference to hands raised at the time if those are raised, but also feel free to unmute and ask questions if it's something quick. If you, what's this say here for, DMing us, I think that's just a strategy that has been used in the past. If we're in the middle of a lesson and you have a question, you're more than welcome to DM us those questions and we can answer them. It'll be anonymous. We'll record all of the lessons that we have and they'll be uploaded to the YouTube channel for our cohort. And once we get that started, we'll go ahead and put that link into your channel. And we won't send you all the link of every single lesson that we do. We're just going to go ahead and post or pin that link to the playlist in your channel. And then we'll just continually add those videos that we upload to that playlist. And if you ever want to go back and look at it, you know where the playlist lives. And then this last part here, this is actually new to me. I don't think that when I was here last that the transcription was an option. Tim, can you speak to that?
Yeah, I need to see if it's like enabled automatically or if I have to do it. Live transcript.
I think Ellen Mary did enable it automatically, but we just have to press something. It's my understanding.
Can y'all just like turn it on right now or no? Doesn't look like it. Okay, so then what about now? Yeah, cool. All right, so I'm gonna probably change that on my settings to make sure that that's auto enabled every time. But yeah, so that's just like a nice way to give you some subtitles if we start, if that's helpful for you. Cool.
Cool. I'll do that on mine as well. Yeah, I think that's mainly it for these two slides. Do you have anything else to add for remote life, Tim?
No, I mean, I think y'all are used to it by now, and it presents its own unique challenges. And as those kind of come up and we're navigating them together, I think like remembering that remote is just tougher in general, and to like give each other some space to, face those challenges, and then be thinking about like creating space for your teammates in like a pretty direct and intentional way, I think can go a long way. But yeah, that's all. Okay, so let's talk about projects. So yeah, so today we kick off viewing party this afternoon, and it's going to be a pair project. The way that the numbers shake up for y'all, it works out evenly, so everyone will have a pair. I don't think we'll have a group of 3 unless something drastic changes in enrollment, but I don't foresee that. Yeah, so viewing party, I'm going to talk more about it today, like in depth, so not going to talk too much now. Rails Engine will be a solo project. That'll be a project where you're building and exposing an internal API, which is pretty cool, and using some data that y'all are probably decently familiar with. I think it's from, I don't remember the name of your project in Mod 2. I'm only 2
Little SD shop, is that what it was?
Little SD has all the data that you all
Yeah.
kind of like do the active record queries with. Yes, thank you, Meg. Okay, so similar data, slightly different, but there'll be you'll basically be like running some queries and exposing some data, and then there'll be a Postman test suite that will kind of like be your spec harness and help you know whether those queries that you're doing and those API endpoints that you're building are accurate. So that's a pretty fun project. I know like it's a little different than when I was a student, but it was like one of the projects that gave me a lot of confidence. So hopefully that we can help you have that same experience. Yeah, consultancy, it says groups of 7 or 8. I think based on y'all's numbers, it'll be 6 or 7. And yeah, this is like, I think I talked a little bit about it in the week 6 kickoff, and it's really your chance to kind of bring your ideas to life, I think, for the first time at Turing, which is cool. So we'll have like a pitch day. We'll have some voting on all the pitches, and there's like some requirements of how we want you to build things. You'll be working with a different framework called Sinatra. That is like another web framework, like adjacent to Rails, that will have you build part of the app in. And so you'll have like it's called a service oriented architecture, and you'll have like a backend service, like a service for fetching data from the API, a front end service, and those applications will all speak to one another. And so that's kind of like the requirement of like, hey, you build it with this pattern, but you build what you want. And that'll be based on how those votes shake out. So and it's like, I'll say, it's the coolest project. Like, it's the coolest project that I've seen at Turing since I've been here as a student, as a staff member. I think it's like awesome to see y'all bring your ideas to life. Yeah, and then we have weather sweater, sweater weather, depending on who you ask. That's the final project. That'll also be individual, and part of it, like, we'll kick that off at the end of week 5, either Thursday or Friday, and then that weekend you'll need to build some of it in order to do the assessment, which will be on that Monday of week 6. Much more on that to come, but just a preview, a heads up. Cool. Yeah, I'm going to talk briefly about PD, but not too in depth, just because we'll kick that off later this week, I believe on Wednesday, and Allison and her team, Tracy and Ryan, head that up. But yeah, so as you just heard in the kickoff, the state of Turing, where Sal was kind of talking about these like 5 kind of like core things to focus on when we're thinking about like PD and how that leads to success in attaining the job. Yeah, there's going to be some more autonomy in terms of like what works for you, which is cool, and it'll be more of a collaborative process. So there's a link in there that kind of runs through it in more detail. One thing I was wondering, y'all have done homerooms so far, right? Like, everyone's familiar with what a homeroom is, and y'all are good with that. Okay, cool. That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure because I think they just kicked off last inning. Cool. Yeah, I think this should probably be review then. At this point, like, career journals are kind of like there to help you, but not required. You're not going to turn those in. And yeah, the discussion groups are really kind of hopefully meant to help you like figure out what's working for others, share what's working for you, share what's not working for you, and like really think about, all of y'all are going through this like incredibly difficult process together, and like the best people to lean on are your peers who are down in the trenches with you, like trying to get this first job and navigating a really challenging thing. And what I'll also say about this is, like, I'm always willing to share my strategies that worked for me when I was a student. And what I always tell students is, the caveat to that is, these worked for me, right? And like, that doesn't mean that they're going to be like foolproof. And what I always like to tell students is, talk to me, talk to as many other people that you can with professional experience, whether that's alumni, whether it's the PD team, other instructors, other students, and kind of pick and choose the strategies that will work for you, because those are going to probably look different. Like, each person's job experience and job search strategies are going to look different. So try to find things that work specifically for you. Okay. Yeah, so we're not actually, yeah, I want to do introductions, but I wanted to change this one. I just changed it on somewhere else, but not here. I wanted to do summertime activities you are looking forward to. And the reason I wanted to put this here, like I know obviously some of your summer is going to be taken up, quite a bit of your summer is going to be taken up by touring and searching for a job and all of that, but you still have to make personal time for you, right? You still do. I always encourage students, you got to take some you time, because you can't just give us everything, right? You have to leave some room for you and what you need. And I mean, I don't know where y'all are at with this, but for me, I'm looking at summer as like, oh my gosh, it looks like I can see the light at the end of the tunnel of this COVID nightmare. And I'm like vaccinated and I'm excited to like go live a life that is fun and outside. But yeah, that's me. So I'll do this. I'll start and then I'll kick it to Meg, and then I will kind of like, I'll probably just go in like alphabetical order, or maybe reverse alphabetical order to make it more fun for the reversers. But yeah, Tim Terrell for me, he, him pronouns. Activities, just like being on the river is going to be cool. Camping and going to shows at Red Rocks, I think, are the top for me. And then what I was doing before touring, I was working at a startup called Via TRM. And yeah, we did study abroad software. And there's still going strong in Boulder. Got a couple touring grads there. Cool. Kick it to Meg.
Thanks. I'm Meg, staying, pronoun she, her. Excited this summer. I got a new mountain bike, so I'm excited to take that out. And also, huge fan of car camping. I definitely used to be more adventurous with camping, but then I had a really old dog and couldn't do that. And now I've learned that car camping is actually the best because you can take everything with you. So excited to do more of that. What else? Before touring, I guess before I went to touring as a student, I was a middle school slash high school math teacher. And then I went to touring as a student, came on to teach with touring for about a year and a half. And then I worked at Otterbox this past year, and recently am now back at touring. So at Otterbox, I was just working on their US sites. They have Otterbox and LifeProof. So those sites, just working as an engineer on their team. But yeah, so excited to be back. This is my first cohort back. Loving it already.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree on the car camping front as well. It's just like you have everything you need. You don't have to carry it too far. It's right
It's so
there.
nice.
It is. I agree. I'm on board with that. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing so that we can just like be a cohort looking at each other in our squares. And I'm gonna be like just taking some notes as I go. So it might be a little bit like some pausing. But yeah, let's kick it off with Wyatt.
All right, reverse alphabetical. My name is Wyatt. Pronouns he, him. I'm looking forward to car camping and hopefully doing a little bit of backpacking during the next intermission. And before touring, I worked as a geologist for oil and gas and did some geology management as well.
Cool. Appreciate that, Wyatt. Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh man, I thought I had more space in there. Ryan Stemmel, he, him. I actually have an old van now, so the car camping sounds really cool as well. Maybe we could have like a car camping meetup. I'm down for that.
Awesome. And what were you doing before touring?
Before touring, I lived on a sailboat and I was sailing around the Atlantic Ocean. My goal was to go through the Panama Canal and to California, but the pandemic caught me while I was in St. Martin and trapped me there for a month. And then I just turned and came right back to the US after stopping in the Bahamas for 3 months and hiding.
That sounds both interesting and slightly terrifying in terms of like getting across borders and like dealing with all of that. So was that tough?
So sailing from the US to the Caribbean is very tough because you're going against the trade winds. And sailing from the Caribbean to the US is very, very enjoyable because it's downwind, down current, and you can put up, I have a big red spinnaker and I just put it up, and me and my wife just laid back and watched the blue seas and caught fish for 7 days. So it was pretty amazing.
That sounds really nice. All right, cool. Thanks, Ryan. Let's go with Mike.
Hey, I'm Mike. Pronouns are he, him. Favorite, what I'm looking forward to in the summer is pretty much like everyone else, getting back into camping, getting into nature, disconnecting a little bit. Before touring, I was in financial services and wealth management, working at an active investment firm back in New Zealand. And yeah, I moved here a couple of years ago. Wife's American. Yeah, happy to be here.
Awesome. Thanks. Great to have you back, Mike. Let's kick it to Logan.
Logan Anderson, he, him. I don't have any specific plans really. My brother's through hiking the Appalachian Trail right now, so I might try and join him for a little bit in the next intermission or something. But yeah, I mean, when everything's cleared up, I really just look forward to, going back to Florida and spending some time with my family. Outside of that, no really set plans. But yeah, before touring, I was a full-time student, miserably working a part-time job at an accounting firm. So this is better, I guess.
Cool. Thanks, Logan. If touring is better than what you were doing before, I cannot imagine what before looked like, honestly, in terms of like shittiness. So glad you're here and enjoying this more than before. Cool. Less talking. Ksenia, did I say that right?
Yes, hi, thank you.
Hi.
I'm Ksenia, she, her. I'm looking forward to getting back on the bike. Really, really excited about that. And the weather is getting really nice. Minus today and a couple of days after. Um, Also excited to get back to dancing, depending on what the schoolwork is gonna go like. So that's a maybe. And before touring, I was an oil and gas landman. I was working with contracts.
Awesome. Thanks, Ksenia. Appreciate that. Let's go to Cone.
Hi, my name's Khan, pronouns he, him, and I think it'd be nice to go down to Austin, and it's called Don's Fish Camp. It's like a 5-6 hour lazy river. By the time you get to the end of it, everybody is like incredibly inebriated. It's actually kind of dangerous because, they tend to overdrink because it's hot, and it's a long trip down. So people are actually, you see them, everyone's stumbling around, and at the end of it, it's kind of fun. I look forward to doing that with a couple of Coast Guard buddies. And that's what I was doing before. I was teaching for a little bit, but I was also in the Coast Guard too. So here I am.
Great. And sorry for mispronouncing your name, Khan. I get it now.
I get it all the time.
All right.
No worries.
Well, you won't get it anymore from me. But yeah, appreciate you sharing, and cool. Happy to have you here. Claudia, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Claudia, she, her. This summer, I'm looking forward to camping, hot springs hopping, started early in this intermission, and road biking and mountain biking. I love to bike. Before touring, I was making chemicals for a chemical manufacturing company, so very different.
This is why I love doing these, because y'all have such interesting backgrounds. But apparently we all like doing the same things so far, which is just like being outside. Cool. Keegan, go ahead.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Keegan, pronouns he, him. I am looking forward to a lot of similar things as folks have already mentioned, but I'll throw on live music at Red Rocks, hopefully, fingers crossed. That's still a go. Before touring, I was supporting integrated care strategy for a large dialysis company in Denver.
Awesome. That one was specific, took some typing, but thanks for sharing, Keegan. Happy to have you. Joey, go ahead.
Hi, Joey, he, him. What I'm looking forward to is getting back out on the bike as well. I feel like I haven't done any really long rides in a while, so I'm looking forward to getting some miles under my belt this summer. What I did before touring, I was a product manager for 2 software dev teams at Guild Education.
Cool. I know Guild. I know a lot of touring grads at Guild currently, so that's cool. Cool. And so I've got Joe M is next, but I've got Joe's preferred name as Joey. So we've got to settle this now because I don't know if that's right or not.
That information is incorrect.
Incorrect. Okay, got it. So
Yeah, I'm just Joe.
Just Joe. Perfect. Got it.
I was going to say first I heard of it. So.
Yeah. That's just our mistake. So
all good. Good morning, everyone. I'm Joe Mecca, he, him, and quadruple down on the car camping. I usually choose my car based on the ability to be able to fully stretch out in the back with the back seat out for car camping. But I'm spending touring in Tennessee, so I'm going to miss out on the dry, nice high country of Colorado and try to get into the tick-infested woodlands of the Appalachian Mountains instead this summer. And let's see, before touring, I was teaching English to international students at CU Boulder. Nice to meet everybody.
Nice to meet you, Joe. Appreciate you sharing. Cool. We'll kick it to Jahara.
My name is Jahara. My pronouns are she, her. Before touring, I worked in finance for about a decade, and it's always summer here, but I'm looking forward to getting my time back so I can surf more.
Where are you located at, Jahara?
We're in Honolulu.
Nice. Okay, cool. So it's early.
Like 7, it's not even 7.
Cool. All right. Well, aloha, and yeah, thanks for sharing. Let's go to Harrison.
Hi, I'm Harrison, he, him pronouns. This summer I'm looking forward to hopefully getting back out and rock climbing outside. It's been like a year, so that'd be exciting. And before touring, I was working a string of retail jobs that weren't as fulfilling as programming, so excited to get back into it.
Cool. We're excited to have you back here. Let's go to George.
Hi, I'm George. My pronouns are he, him. This summer, probably just gonna like kick it with the homies, get lit. I don't know, get in some trouble, and hopefully start making bank with this touring knowledge. Before touring, I was an IT manager at a startup in Cambridge, helping lives, kind of, not really. More to like telling people to restart their computers, but it taught me the skills I needed to succeed here, so it was something.
Okay, so there's a lot of Cambridges out there, so you gotta narrow that one in.
Yeah, Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Cool.
Yeah, East Coast.
Cool. All right. Well, hopefully not too much trouble before we have achieved that ultimate goal of the job, and then the world's your oyster. All right, let's go to Galen.
Hi, I'm Galen. My pronouns are she, her. And summertime activities, I'm probably most looking forward to hiking and just generally being outside more. And I also love our local farmers market, which just started last week. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then before touring, I was a pharmacist and I worked for Walmart Pharmacy.
Awesome. Where is your local farmers market, Galen?
I'm in Huntsville, Alabama. So
Cool.
they got some good stuff.
Nice. All right. Let's go to Diana.
Hello, my name is Diana. I pronounce she, her. And for the summertime, I was going to say visit the beach again, maybe. I live in Virginia Beach and I haven't gone in a really long time. But I'm excited to try kayaking this summer. And before touring, I was working as a virtual receptionist.
Awesome. Yeah, I was just at the beach 2 weeks ago, and it's nice there. You know, I don't need to be there more than a few days, but it's nice when you're there. Cool. So let's go to Brisa. I can't hear Brisa. Can y'all hear? No. Okay. So, but it also says you're unmuted. So.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you.
Perfect. My headphones are weird. My name is Brisa, she, her. This summer, I'm looking forward to dancing, and I've never gravel biked before, but I just got a gravel bike, so I'm really excited. And before touring, I had a lot of really cool jobs, but my pandemic job was working for Peloton, so that was really exciting, delivering Peloton bikes.
Awesome. That is cool. And I bet you were busy during the pandemic with Peloton. What gravel bike did you get?
It's a felt. I'm not really sure what model it was. It was just on Craigslist, so.
All right, cool. Yeah, let's go to Austin.
Hello, my name is Austin. My pronouns are he, him. This summer, I plan on going bike riding. I just got like a pretty nice bike. Don't ask me what it's called. I have no idea. But plan on going bike riding. Learning how to ride a bike that has gears is gonna be interesting. I don't want to like break that shit, so I gotta be careful. But yeah, I look forward to doing that with my girlfriend and having a good time. Before touring, I worked in a fulfillment center for Amazon. It's terrible. Meat robot lifestyle was not good for me. And I was going to school full time, my local community college, grinding that out. So just decided that, you know, I needed to act my wage, and working there, I worked way too hard and was most definitely not rewarded for it. So getting my my brain power up so you can make this dev money. That's the goal.
I like it. I'm happy you're here. I don't want you. You know, working in a non-fulfilling job, I feel like that's just a great way to not really enjoy life. So I can say from my experience, programming has always been fulfilling, and now instructing is like incredibly fulfilling. So excited for y'all to get there. It's coming. All right, Andrew.
Hi, my name is Andrew Schaefer, he, him pronouns, and and prior to touring, I was researching programming and what was the best school to go to, and I think I found it. And prior to that, I was teaching philosophy as a PhD student to undergrad. I was a PhD student teaching philosophy to undergraduates, decided that I wasn't best suited for the world of academia, wasn't where I was most likely to thrive. still love philosophy, but figured I would put those logic skills to use doing something perhaps a bit more practical and lucrative with actual job opportunities. And as for the summer, I think the thing that I'm probably looking forward to most in the summer is the fact that my family has a tendency to congregate and get together. We all tend to meet up at some point during the summer. My elder sister teaches economics at a university, so she has a little more free time in the summer, and my younger sister is involved with developing online learning tools for the University of Arizona. So she also can work from home for a couple of weeks during the summer, and so usually around July sometime we can all get together, and it's a lot of fun to just be with my family.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that that's an exciting thing that everyone kind of gets to look forward to, hopefully this summer, of reconnecting with family and getting to spend a lot more time in person without, fear and risk and all of that. Cool. Alexander, go ahead.
Everybody, Alexander, he, him. For the summer, I'm looking forward to, just life back to normal. Gonna try to fulfill a long-term goal of finally going down to Chicago Basin, climbing Sunlight Peak. That would be amazing if I could just get that done. I don't know, with touring, it might not happen, but we'll see. Before touring, I was an HVAC engineer, kind of working on commercial buildings.
Awesome. Appreciate you sharing that, Alexander. Let's go to Aiden.
This reverse alphabetical order is really messing me up. My name's Aiden, he, him. Summertime, I'm looking forward to doing outside things like everyone else: rock climbing, river stuff, bicycles, motorcycles. I also would really love to go to a concert again. So those are the goals. Before touring, I was an electrician.
Awesome. All right. Cool. I think, let's get outside this summer. It's going to be fun. I think we got everyone. Let me just make sure. If I didn't say your name, please tell me. Great. Things are accurate. All right. Let's take another break. Let's come back at 11:01 Mountain Time. Yeah. All right, it's 01, so gonna get back into it. Yeah, so Mod 3 is really where we start to transition from, hey, you need to have this foundation of programming skills to have a shot at like kind of advancing, which is what Mod 1 and Mod 2 is, where it's like you have to know all this stuff. And Mod 3, it's kind of like, okay, well now we're trying to mold you into the professional that you're going to be on the job. And so a lot of the concepts, a lot of the patterns, a lot of the trade-offs are going to be very similar to the work that you'll be doing on the job. And then similarly, like kind of parallel to that, is building the professional habits and focusing on the things that you need to start doing in order to help secure that first job. What else do I want to say about this? Yeah, I think that's it. Meg, do you want to add anything to this?
No, I don't think so. You got it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this is what I had more to say about. Yeah, there's no one path to becoming a developer. Like Turing is going to be part of all of your paths, but it's not the only path, obviously, that's out there. I'm biased. I think it's one of the best, but it's going to be different for all of you, even being in the same program, right? Like becoming a developer, then all of the things that you learn on that first job are going to kind of like put you on a trajectory that's going to be different than all of your peers. And I think keeping that in mind, especially on the days when you're feeling maybe inadequate or they're feeling less than confident. I think what I want to say is there's no substitute for the hours that you spend solving problems via software. I think like more than anything, that is kind of like what helps you not only build your skills, but build your confidence. And yeah, we're doing it and we're doing it together. Cool. Yeah, so mod 3 is going to be different. We're going to kind of push you to make a lot more decisions on your own and make there's going to be less of us telling you that this is the one right way, and more of us saying you should try something and see what the cost benefit analysis is of that specific choice. And that is part of the decision making process that all developers have to make daily, weekly on the job. And that is why we are going to make you make those decisions here. Yeah, so I'm not going to read this to you. You can see we're trying to help you all grow into strong trees here. And part of what we're going to do is blow on you as the wind would, in order to help strengthen your development processes and your skills here. I think the thing to remember about development is there's too much to know to be able to really know everything, especially with a lot of depth. But you can have a process for gathering and applying information for specific problems that basically looks the same no matter what the problem is. And so part of what we're going to do here is challenge you to focus on that process. All right. And while we are going to challenge you, we are not going to completely set you aflame and be a fire tornado and make this so hard that you're, questioning why you're here, the decisions you made that brought you here. That's not our intent. We want you all to be like pushed, and we want you to kind of become familiar, okay with failure as part of the process, but we're also here to support you and kind of lift you up when you need it. This is distracting, and it really comes back to this like productive unproductive struggle idea, and this is part of the process, right? You have to first be able to recognize when you are productively struggling versus unproductively struggling, and what your strategies are to either break free of unproductive struggle or continue to kind of live in that productive struggle where you're actively learning, experimenting, trying new things, and enjoying that process, right? And I think we're all probably guilty of this idea of like we probably stay in unproductive struggle too long. Like I know I have been guilty of that before as well. And I think with students, it's in this remote environment, it's very easy for y'all to stay in it too long. So I would say if you think you might have been in it too long, where you're like, I'm not really making progress, just assume that you have been in it too long and reach out to your network of support, each other, code help, mentors, upper mods, us. We're all here for that. And it's just not, when I say there's like no substitute for time spent, I mean that. And the way you spend your time, like, and how you're processing information can be very efficient or incredibly inefficient. And that is kind of like for you to figure out. But even just like typing out the problem, like when you've been trying to figure out something in the code for so long and you're like, all right, I don't like, what am I even trying to do anymore? Type out what you know about the problem, what you've tried, and like where your understanding breaks down. And like you can do that in a DM that's directed to Meg and I. And what I would say is part of what you can do is not just hit send right away, but type it all out, read it, reread it, get up, go for a walk, come back, reread it again. Sometimes just that will help you figure out what's going on. Sometimes you're still going to need to hit send and you're still going to need support, but like that is a skill in itself. I can't tell you how many times I have, and it happens all the time here. I'm like, I don't know how to do this thing. I start typing that I'm going to ask for help from someone, like whether it's Meg or someone else, a peer, and then I'm like, well, I haven't tried this. Okay, I need to go and try this. Oh, well, I think the next place that I'll look is here. And then a lot of times I'll just figure it out on my own and I'll check to make sure like, hey, did I actually do this right or not? But a lot of times typing it out is what gets me at least to like to a place where I can solve the problem. So that's take that for whatever it's worth. I guess at this point, I just want to pause. Anything on y'all's mind when it comes to unproductive, productive struggle, questions, things that have been helpful for you that you want to share to the cohort? Sick of hearing about it. What is it? Okay. I'm going to assume nothing with that and move on. What else do we have? Yeah, I've kind of already said this. We're not going to like, be a hurricane force wind and kind of like uproot you. We're going to be here to support you. So remember that we're not always going to give you the answer that you want in the moment, but we're also going to be here to buoy you and to help you. Like, it's okay to be vulnerable with us. It's okay to be vulnerable with each other. And like when you need support that is maybe a bit more than the everyday norm, I think that's okay. And like you'll have, if I turn off my video, you can see like this thing that I honestly stole from Lita because I thought it was so good. This is important to me. And this is truly what I think courage is. It's like asking and advocating for what you need when you need it. And I encourage y'all to do that with us. Cool. Yeah, so how does this look? What kind of challenges? Yeah, we kind of asked you to read this section of Learning Fast and Slow in the pre-work. And I know we're kind of like switching gears, but I would love to hear from anyone that took something away from this reading and what that was, what their reflection is on it. Great. Let's go to Keegan first.
Yeah, I think one of the takeaways I had was I think I've found myself being particularly nervous about learning things incorrectly, or like trying things and thinking that the more I go along that path of being wrong and not knowing that's going to cement that knowledge. And so I think that was kind of one of my key takeaways, is that it's okay to be wrong and then later, learn the correct way. So.
Totally. I think I would even argue that it's like one of the best ways to learn is to get it wrong first and then reflect, have some feedback, and then kind of like understand a little bit more why there's a better way. Joey, go ahead.
I think one of the big things that I felt like was part of the topic and not exactly, but it kind of reinforced my thought process around that there isn't always a right way to solve a problem. And that in development, part of I think what is interesting is like as we do group projects and everything we've done at Turing is a lot of us have solved problems similarly and a lot of us have solved them extremely differently. And kind of those first examples they gave where a lot of the like students who were being asked questions about like what is the smallest number, largest number, it was like a very canned response on how to get that out. And it was kind of a good way to think about it is that we all approach these problems, even though we have the same prompt, extremely differently. And it is kind of interesting to kind of break down, there isn't a right or a wrong way. We're just kind of learning a way and we kind of adapt it based on our own personalities.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's like important. There's a couple of takeaways there, and it's like understanding that the first approach that you all have will probably not be the same approach. Sometimes it will, but like not all the time, and that's okay. And like what can you learn from one another with how you are approaching the problems differently. Yeah, in software, like a lot of times there are some patterns in software that do stand up to the test of time so far, but this industry changes so quickly that to become like married to any one pattern and think that that is the right use case for all scenarios is just never going to be the case. And we've got to be flexible enough to understand that there are going to be different patterns for different use cases, and we're probably not going to know all of them, but it's important for us to try some of them to then learn more about them. Cool. Moving on. Yeah, okay, so I think like honestly, one of the things that students struggle with here, like we've got a couple of things here that are specific, but I would say like decision fatigue can be a thing here in Mod 3, where you have to, we are forcing you to make so many decisions in your projects that can kind of become like a burden. And sometimes what that looks like is you're so tired of making decisions that you get to one where it just becomes like, I just don't know what the right way is, and I just want someone to tell me. And what I'll say is like kind of thinking back to I think what Keegan said, it's like it's okay to be wrong, right? Like it's like make a decision and like know that like it is part of a good learning process to get it wrong, make a change, and then understand why that change is better. So I think like knowing that, and also knowing that like we are going to give you feedback in an like iterative, like improvement focused process, and we're not gonna like, we expect you to get it wrong a lot of the times up front, and like that is okay. That's not like gonna be reflected in your project scores, that it's gonna tear you down the whole mod because you did something wrong this first project, that we're going to tell you in the eval like, this is actually a better pattern, here's why, and here's why, and here's what I would have done. Like that is part of the process we expect, and like we want you all to be okay with that as part of your learning process more than anything. Yeah, I think there's, once we get into consultancy, like working in a group that big will be new, and just in general, when there's that many voices, there's going to be some friction, and it's going to take longer to make decisions. It's going to take longer to get on the same page. One thing that I will say goes a long way, and you'll have an opportunity to get some practice at this afternoon, is the planning that you do up front this mod will go further, I think, than the implementation can take you. Or at least the more emphasis you put on planning, the smoother that the implementation phase will generally go. Yeah. Anything you want to add to that, Meg, on this specific topic? I'm going to kick it over to you anyway. But
yeah, I think that's good. I think that like decision fatigue is huge, and I think it's something that I constantly struggle with. Especially, I don't know if anyone's heard this term or if I just use it, but I always say that I have like code paralysis, where I just like I've hit a point where I'm just like too scared to move because I'm just exhausted by constantly failing. And it gets to a point, at least for me, where I'm like, I don't even know like what to do next, because, or I don't even want to like take another step because I don't want to go through that process again. And so it's almost just like owning that process of like, okay, you know what, I'm going to have to take this step. I'm probably going to fail. And that process can be long, of like, first step, failing, recognizing why you failed, fixing it, and then succeeding. And it's such a long process, and it truly is exhausting. And I know, I'm sure you experienced that already. But being able to, like I said, kind of appreciate that is going to be huge, because without appreciating it, you can definitely kind of get frozen. And that's also okay. Like, it's okay for that stuff to happen as well. But yeah, I think I also want to say, like, it's something that I still struggle with. So good reminder.
same, yeah, I struggle with it too. And I think like the good thing is you certainly do still get, you start to speed up, I think is the good thing. The more that you deal with this kind of struggle and like the process of becoming familiar with failure, eventually it just like is part of your process, and you think about failing less. It's just like what you're doing until you're getting to whatever end that you need to. At least
Yeah.
that's how it's gone for me.
Yeah, I think also the other big part that comes of it is like knowing what questions to ask when you get to that paralysis point. Because I think I've almost been so stuck that I don't even know what questions to ask. And then I get so stuck even longer. And then I'm almost embarrassed when I'm like, can I get some help? I'm still at this one point and I haven't gotten past there. But yeah, cool. Moving on. What do we have? Success in mod 3. All right, so I think if you may have taken a look, and you've also probably seen this in the intermission work, but just the main topics of mod 3 and the things that we're going to cover. Tim already talked earlier about professional development. That's going to be a big focus in mod 3, and going into mod 4, you probably have seen in the calendar, if you've looked through it, that there's a lot of time on our calendar for professional development and working on that. And it's definitely not something that we should skimp on during mod 3. Building and consuming APIs, we'll get into that later this week. Performance optimization, advanced Rails topics, OOP, all of that is going to continue. Yeah, this is a great mod. A lot of topics. I will say, I think in mod 3, we don't have very many lessons compared to other mods. I think we definitely have less, and it allows for a little bit more struggle time, like we had mentioned earlier, and also more time to experiment with things that you're interested in too. So the topics aren't just limited to this here, but these are definitely the things that we will be focusing on this mod. Cool. What can you do if things get difficult? And we've already talked about just productive, unproductive struggle. But let's go to that next slide. What do we have? Yeah. So I guess just what you can expect from us when you are in that struggle or unproductive struggle is we mentioned this at the kickoff at the end of your mod 2, but we will be we see ourselves as these like lead engineers that we are going to be working with you all. I know I chimed in during your week 6 to just mention we don't know everything, and there's going to be a lot of things that you all do that we're like, oh, you're working on WebSockets? I've never done that before. Let me jump in and like try and figure this out with you. And so in that way, we're not an instructor in the way of like, we know everything, we can help you with everything. We are more than welcome, or we're more than happy to like jump on a call and assist in any way that we can when it comes to those things. But just know that like we're also learning alongside you with these fun experiments that we'll be doing.
Yeah, and I was just gonna jump in and say that that's like it's a great chance for you to learn what collaboration looks like on the job, because like many times, whatever that specific domain or problem you're working on, even though you have senior engineers on the team, like they might not be familiar with that part of the code. And so they'll have like more than likely a more senior process for going about finding out things and like asking the right kinds of questions. And that's kind of like what you can expect from us. But to expect that we'll just kind of be able to jump it like up when we ask the instructors, we know we'll have the out. It's like, that's just probably not how it's going to go.
Yeah. And when y'all have those questions or anything like that, we'll make ourselves available for the most part during the hours of 9 to 4 or 9 to 5. We do have obviously other meetings throughout the day, but we will try during those hours that y'all are in class 9 to 4 in school. Reach out to us. If it's a question that is either like technical or just want to check in, make sure that you reach out to both Tim and myself. Sometimes one of us is available over the other person, and it's also just helpful to kind of both be aware of what's going on in each of your lives. And kind of along those lines too, I mentioned check-ins, but like, I don't know, we care about you all more than just like students and getting jobs. Like obviously we care about that so much. That's the main goal of this, but we also want to make sure that you have what you need in order to reach that goal. And I think what that is just making sure that you are comfortable and like healthy physically and mentally, and making sure that like all of those things are taken care of. And we care so much about that before we want to make sure that you're successful as a student, because I think from my perspective, in my opinion, like your success as a student is also related to kind of like how you're doing personally. So we also are going to do check-ins with that as well, and make sure that like if anything's going on, reach out to us, let us know what's going on, let us know if there's anything that we can do to help you. I think this like lead engineering role, I think of like the type of leadership as like a servant leadership, in a way of just like, okay, we're here to help you, just like let us know what you need. Cool. Yeah, and I think y'all are probably pretty aware of this too, and there's probably things that y'all have done to help each other throughout mods 1, 2, and the length of time that you've already been entering. But y'all have accountability buddies. Reach out to those accountability buddies. Make sure that y'all are checking in with each other. Utilize those study halls, the breakout rooms within the study hall, and just make sure that y'all are kind of just like, I don't know, talking with each other. I think one of the most memorable things for me when I was a student was, and it was during a retro in mod 2. Mod 2 was my most difficult mod. I like really was questioning everything. I had such a hard time in mod 2. And I remember it was like maybe end of week 2 in mod 2. And I was struggling so much. And I was like, everyone is doing fine. Everyone looks like they're doing great. And I think it's even easier to think that in a remote setting, that everyone's doing really well, because you don't like see looks on everyone's faces. And like, I don't know, I still thought that at the end of in mod 2, just like, wow, I'm the only one that's struggling. And there was a retro that we had where so many people were just so vulnerable, and they're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. These are the things that I don't understand. I think I'm going to fail. Like, everyone was just super vulnerable. And I think it was in that moment that I was like, oh, I'm not alone, and I can actually feel safe asking these questions, and also like offering help to people that I think I understand something and maybe they understand something else, and we can like exchange that information. So I think the biggest way that y'all can help each other is this kind of goes into the next slide too. I think we mentioned it, but just like making a safe environment. And I think that that safe environment comes with being vulnerable and encouraging vulnerability out of everyone and making that space. So yeah, I think just allows people to feel more comfortable asking questions and reaching out and saying that you're struggling. Like, that's a huge thing when you just are like, hey, I'm struggling, who can help me? And I can guarantee that there's someone in this cohort that would gladly reach out.
Yeah, I would +1 like all of that. I had a very similar experience with my cohort, and like retro sharing vulnerabilities and like really bonding kind of in that. And I think it goes back to like what was said at State of Turing. Like some cohorts start to share like, hey, I got my first rejection, or hey, I've got my first interview and I'm terrified, and like I just don't think I'm going to be very good at this. And like that's okay, but I think like the more that you all can like lean on one another for that support and encourage one another, I mean, it really does go a long way to the collective success, and collective success is a good measure, I feel like, of like what, how do I want to say this? The cohorts that are the most successful are that way because they collaborate the most and they care about the collective success the most.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. Yeah, I think everything on this slide pretty much we've kind of mentioned, just importance of kind of creating that safe environment and importance of asking good questions, and just like asking questions in general. Don't be afraid to ask questions during class. Yeah, experimenting, have fun with it. I think also something that I didn't mention as far as like experimenting on our end as instructors, I think Jeff and Sal kind of mentioned this in State of Turing, of like everyone gets to the end of Turing and they're like, wow, we were just like the hamsters and they changed everything on us and everything was really different than the cohort behind me. And the truth of it is that like things aren't very different, but our approach might be different. And yeah, I think for us, at least for me, and I'm pretty sure like Tim is the same way too, I'm constantly iterating over the lessons that I teach and just thinking like, after I'm done with the lesson, how could that have gone better? And what can I do better next time? And how can I reorder this? Or should we have taught this before we taught this other lesson? And so there's a lot of things that we will be changing throughout the mod. And in that way, it is like kind of an experiment, but it's with your own best interest in mind. And so we will, with those experiments, kind of the way that we can get feedback from you. I don't think we've mentioned this yet, but just the class surveys. Have we talked about that, Tim?
We haven't talked about it, but they're likely familiar from Mod 2 cool. Doing it.
Yeah, I think I just mentioned that because I saw this word experiment down here. Like, you all experiment, and also we're also going to experiment a little bit too, and just try things out with y'all. But make sure that's like super helpful for us to get that feedback from you all, just to be able to iterate and make things better for you and for future cohorts as well. Yeah, so I guess feedback is great to get the most out of Mod 3.
Yeah, it's important for us, and it's important for you all to, I think, not just like hear the feedback, but I'm telling you, the more you seek feedback, like the quicker that you can grow, the quicker that you can improve here, not just technically, but professionally, and you know, in all aspects that you're looking to grow in here. And that brings me to this tree picture. Like, this is where you can be, not just after Turing, but after Mod 3, because Mod 3 is really like the last, it's kind of like this like putting it all together mod, professional skills, professional software patterns, professional software applications. Like, it really is kind of this culmination. And then Mod 4 very much so is like focused now more than ever, like on like job hunt and collaborative processes and interview prep. So yeah, I'm excited for y'all. And this final slide is this kind of like interesting and I think highly successful approach of Stacey Abrams and how she kind of like has defined this process of how to get what she wants and how we can kind of like take that approach. And it's really just like I think it's like defining what you want and then like the things you will do to go about getting it, and then reminding yourself of why you want this and like what your life looks like when you do get this, and like keeping that motivation in mind when inevitably we face setbacks, but like not letting them define us or hold us back too much. Yeah, there's a link to the YouTube video in the slides. Y'all have the slides, so check it out if you'd like. That's all for us this morning. Any questions, thoughts, things on your mind at this point? Okay. Great. So you got a little bit of time back. We'll see you back at 1 Mountain Time to kick off your first project. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks. Bye, Tim and Meg.
Bye.